Hi, everybody. It's Alex Sher with another Spotlight interview, this time with my new friend, Neil Gomes. Hi, Neil. How are you?
Hey, hi, Alex. I'm good.
It's great to see you. I know we just recently met, and I tell you, you have an amazing career. I know that you really are focused on these scaled organizations, and you do a lot of great transformational work and really help these companies in the areas of strategic leadership, technology, and innovation. I'll just name a couple of these for everybody. AmeriHealth Caritas, Common Spirit Health, Jefferson Health. These are really big organizations.
Hi.
So that's your specialty. So first of all, welcome. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, you got most of that right. Yeah, it's AmeriHealth Caritas, which is a large payer, Jefferson Health, which is a large provider system, and Common Spirit Health, which is a really large IDN and at scale.
So congratulations on really all your success, and thanks for taking the time with us. So let's get into it. Tell us a little about what you do for these
I try to
organizations.
transform scaled organizations, mostly with technology, but you can't just do it with technology. So I do it with looking at people, process, and technology, and trying to do it as quickly as possible.
When you talk about scale organization, what are you talking about? And second, what do you mean by some of these transformations? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so it varies from organization to organization what they want to do specifically, but most transformations are not like a destination. They're mostly like a journey, right, that you're on. And you're continuously improving your products, your services, your organization as a whole, always connected to the mission and vision of the organization in some way. So these are not like separate things that you do on the side. These are integral to the organization. They change your business model sometimes. They change the way you think most of the times, and the way you operate. And in scaled organizations, I focus on them because these problems are a little bit different. And when you solve them, you have this great satisfaction of achieving that solution at scale. So you impact as many lives as possible. And healthcare, I got into healthcare because I wanted to have an impact on people's lives, in a positive way. And so when you work in large organizations, you can do that at scale.
That's really nice. I mean, so you really have a mission going on here where you want to help people at scale through technology and technology leadership. That's what I'm hearing, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's a wonderful mission. That's great to have you doing this for everybody.
Thanks, Alex.
So let's talk a little more. I know you've got a couple of stories you want to tell us about. What I want to highlight is you actually one of those leaders that comes up with frameworks as part of your process, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
well, the better leaders I meet, they do that. You're one of those people. And you've got two frameworks that you maybe tell us a story about.
Yeah.
Name the framework and maybe tell us a story.
All right. Well, so I'm an educator also, Alex, in the past,
Got you.
and so I like to kind of encapsulate things that I learn into frameworks that I can follow myself and remember to apply, as well as that my teams can do the same. It makes it a little bit easier for them to understand what I'm thinking, what the organization needs. It's not just about me, it's the whole organization, what they might need too. So two frameworks that I've developed. One is focused just on the success of digital transformations. It's a 5-point framework. It's very simple. It focuses on 5 things: vision, aptitude, leverage, unconventional thinking, and execution. And it's easy to remember because the first letters of each of these things ultimately spell value. Okay, because that's what we want to deliver when we do these transformations. Not just for the sake of transforming or looking good as an organization. These are to deliver true value to the organization. So vision, aptitude, leverage, unconventional thinking, and execution. Yeah. So that's one framework.
Tell us the other framework real quick.
The other framework is a little bit longer, so I'll tell you a little bit about it, but not go through the 12 principles. I have a book coming out on that sometime later this year, and so someone can buy the book to read about it. But it's
all right. Well, what's it about? Tell us what it's about.
It's 12 principles for high-performing teams and how to build and motivate and inspire high-performing teams to do some amazing things in organizations, which I've been fortunate to be able to not just lead, but also build these types of teams at these scaled organizations you mentioned before. And that's a great privilege. And I've learned a lot from that. And so I've encapsulated that learning into these 12 principles to guide teams and build high-performing teams.
Those both sound like great frameworks. I think today we mentioned you're going to tell us a story about the first framework, your digital transformation framework. Why don't you tell us that story? And hopefully when your book comes out, you'll want to tell us a little more about the other framework. How does that sound?
Yeah, Glad to do that. At Jefferson, one of the early projects that we worked on at Jefferson Health was trying to get really good at telehealth, which was kind of new at the time.
Oh,
Not a lot of
yeah.
organizations were doing it, and that's why it was called even telehealth. Like we do, like our CEO used to say, we do banking online, but we don't call it telebanking. It's just banking, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But we still call it telehealth because there's a lot of reticence sometimes to embrace the true digital kind of nature of health also, and the possibility of it. So first we had to set a vision, right? And be very clear about what that vision is. What do we want to do in telehealth? We don't want to replace everything in healthcare. So it's not a threat, right?
Right.
That everything is going to change and there's going to be no brick and mortar or anything of the sort. But we understand that consumers want this medium, this omni-channel kind of medium of receiving health care. And so that was the vision. This is something we have to do in addition to the things that we're doing regularly, right? So that puts people's minds at ease a little bit. Then we have to have the right people, the right aptitude, right? Not just on the development side and in our teams, in the digital teams, but also on people that are going to use these platforms to actually deliver the care, right? So we did a lot of training. We, in fact, even built an academy for telehealth that
Wow.
now people come to Jefferson and learn about how to deliver telehealth. So we leverage it in more than one way. In terms of leverage, we actually built incentive systems for providers, clinicians to deliver telehealth because those didn't exist before. So now they had actual, if their performance was measured by certain metrics, this was one of the metrics, that was in there, and that would improve their incentives within the organization. So that's something that helped them out too. And everybody wants to advance in their careers, so we understood that. What was unconventional about it? We didn't go the route where we said, oh, well, we're just going to contract a third-party company to deliver all this care. No, we used Jefferson Physicians. We wanted that brand to be there. So that was very unconventional at the time. Most of the times, folks were totally outsourcing this function as a funnel for getting new patients in. We didn't do that because Jefferson's a well-renowned institution, and we wanted to provide our care to our patients and people in our community via telehealth to make it convenient for them. We didn't just want to do it to acquire new patients from all around the country. And then finally, on execution, it was, again, something that if it was just something you decided to do and then you moved on to 5 other things, or you're doing 20 different things, it would have never got done.
Yeah.
So we built a brand. We focused on building that brand. We call it Jeff Connect. We got the right people in clinically that built that brand, and still continues. And it helped us tremendously during COVID, because we could just pivot and scale that whole platform up to meet the demand that was there during COVID.
I'll tell you, that is really an incredible story. I mean, we all went through COVID. I think a lot of us kind of take for granted that all of a sudden there's doctors on the screen. I would always say that the technology leaders were the unsung heroes of COVID because we all took for granted we were working from home, number one. And then, and then you look at industries like healthcare that you're involved in, like healthcare, where all of a sudden we have at-home healthcare. And now, of course, the trend is to continue more of that.
And another thing I wanted to say on the telehealth side, Alex, then I took that learning to Common Spirit Health, much larger organization. And in 2 years during COVID, during the throes of COVID, we did 2.6 million visits online. So,
wow.
That's 2.6 million, maybe not 2.6 million lives because they could be repeat customers, but just imagine the impact of your life on that, right?
Well, this has been a great session. First of all, your 2 frameworks sound amazing. And thanks for going into depth about your initial framework about digital transformation, and also giving us a real example of what you mean by affecting a lot of lives in healthcare through scale. That was a really terrific story, and congratulations on that success. And I know you've got another framework that you're really excited about, which is the team building framework, which we don't have time to go into today. So hopefully when the book comes out, you'll want to come back to us and tell us more about that. Thank you so much for being on our Spotlight interview. I've been talking with Neil Gomes, who's a C-level technology leader that specializes in working with companies at scale and digital transformations, building large, effective teams, and more. Neil, thank you so much for being on our Spotlight interview today. It was a great session.
Thank you very much, Alex.